Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of KZ Tizzle. And today we're going to be doing some NFL predictions. And I don't usually do sports stuff, but I'm pretty excited to try to do this and just give you my take on what I think the NFL season, the upcoming season, will look like. This is, of course, taking place in 2021, in case you guys get confused. And let's start with the AFC North. And I feel like most of my opinions are shared with the community, but some of them are a little bit different. But first of all, I have the Steelers. Um, before I go, most of the time these rankings are accurate, but sometimes I'll flip them around. Like for example, like the Steelers are number one, Ravens number two, Browns number three, and Bengals number four in this instance. But sometimes I might flip them around if I'm feeling it. But for the AFC North, I have the Steelers finishing in first place, and I feel like Chase Claypool is just going to torch opposing defenses. Big Ben, people keep saying he's washed, and I just don't see it. I think he's at least got 10 years left in him, and they have a very good improved O-line from the draft this year. Really went out and made some big changes, and they have by far the best defense in the league. And another big fact is that they've been dominant against the Ravens, Browns, and Bengals in the last 10 years. And I feel like Mike Tomlin will be prepared for anything that they try to throw at him. And people keep saying this team's on, like, going down. I think they're on the rise. And I'm going to put them, I'd probably put them at 12-5, win that division maybe. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so next we have the Ravens. I'd say the Ravens are second, and it's obvious to see why. Lamar's very good, and they're the running tandem, like the combo of Lamar and J.K. Dobbins. They're just going to terrorize defenses. The notably weak AFC North, and I don't know. They're going to finish. I think they're actually going to finish 12-5 as well, but I feel like they're going to lose at least. I think they're going to just lose the tiebreaker somehow to the Ravens. I'm sorry, to the Steelers, and I think they're going to finish second in that division because of it. Now, the Browns, they're a very tough team for me because everyone is very high on the Browns, and I just don't see it. They had a great season last year, but they have a terrible defense, and they honestly didn't get much better with the draft. They really reached on that Notre Dame linebacker, in my opinion. Additionally, I think Baker Mayfield's pretty overrated, and they're they don't really match up well against the Steelers and the Ravens. Not many defensive studs on the Browns as well, and I'm it's tough for me to place them, but I think I'm gonna go with 10-7 because I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they're better than the Ravens and Steelers. And up next we have my personal favorite team, the Bengals. Now, I'm not really a biased fan because I think the Bengals are definitely a rebuilding team, but I think Burrow's going to be Burrow, and I think that most people said that we may have picked the wrong people in our draft, but I don't understand. We drafted very well. Like, our kicker that we got is crazy good, and I think we might be in for another long rebuild, but I think we're definitely a little bit better than people think we are. But I can guarantee we'll get a top five pick with with the Bengals are just with the record this year they'll get a top five pick for sure. Up next we have the AFC East, and I have the Dolphins at the top, believe it or not. And my reasoning for the Dolphins being at the top is because they had a pretty good season last year, and I'd say that they have the number one defense in the league. A top two defense that's not two is pretty good, especially with Xavier Howard, who's going to clamp up everyone. He's going to be the next Jalen Ramsey, the Legion of Boom is going to occur in Dolphin Mania in Miami, I guess. And I also have in my notes here, I have that Tua Tagovailoa. I think he's going to win the MVP with all the weapons he's been granted by the head coach and GM at in Miami. And I don't think they're going to be crazy, but I think they're going to win this pretty average division, I'd say, with a record of 11-6. And the next team I have is, I actually made a mistake here. I have the Jets above the Bills on accident. I think I made a big mistake here. Okay, but I have the Jets at 10-7 actually, and people, it's really not hard to see why. Zach Wilson's going to be a franchise player, and with they're just crazy loaded with weapons in New York, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people with how talented he is. Zach Wilson is a stud, and I seriously think he could probably carry like a team like, I'm trying to think of it like a really bad team in the past. Like he could probably carry the 2010 Packers. He could probably carry them to at least like a 12-win season, I'd say. I think it's the 2010 Packers. Maybe I think they were terrible that year. But yeah, so I think he might seriously win Rookie of the Year, and they're definitely going to make the playoffs. If they might be in third, but they're going 10-7 and they're making the playoffs for sure. Especially with Frank Gore running at the helm. He's insane. I know he's pretty old, but he's Hall of Famer for sure. And then next I have the Bills, and I also have them at 10-7. Now, Bills are hard for me to place because people think I'm a lot lower on the Bills than most people would say, and I just think they're a little overrated. They have a terrible defense. I'd say maybe the worst in the league, and they have an absurdly good running back and great running game, but I don't know. Their players are just a little bit overrated. Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen, they're both not even, they're probably below average. Actually, that's a little bit of a stretch, but they're really overrated in my opinion. And I can't see them beating the Jets or the Dolphins in this stacked division. Now the Patriots, this is obvious to me. They're going to be terrible, but not for the reasons you'd think, because they'll be terrible because Cam Newton's going to get injured. And if Cam Newton was healthy, this team seriously, I think the team would win the division with a record of 12-5, easy. I think they're like, with Cam Newton at the helm, they're 12 wins guaranteed. But he'll be injured, and Mac Jones is not going to be able to carry the load. And unfortunately, with them injured, they have a really terrible defense and just no weapons anywhere, especially when Julian Edelman retired. And I think they might seriously get a top 10 pick, maybe even higher than that, with a record of 2-15. Mac Jones is going to be terrible. He's not going to be able to carry this just terrible roster. Okay. So then we got the AFC South. Give me a second. I always let me get my bearings straight so that I can calculate and analyze what I wanted to say. And this is not correct. I did not sort this correct. I had it at Colts, Texans, Titans, then Jags. Yeah. So Colts, they have a great offensive line, but in all honesty, they really don't have that great of they don't really have a good home field advantage, and that's why I don't think they're gonna win the AFC. Like, I don't think they're gonna get the first seed, but they're just gonna be a boring team that glides to 12-5. They've got like I can't name a single player on that team, in all honesty. And then the Texans, I think, with Deshaun Watson coming off a 2020 campaign where he literally led the league in receiving yards despite his lackluster team. It was straight up lackluster. He had very few weapons, and him just seriously being able to carry a franchise, it shows. It's just crazy because I think he could single-handedly carry this team to the playoffs, and I think they're going. I'd say they're going 9-8, and I didn't put it earlier, but I think the Colts they're gonna finish 12-5, win the division. So Texans 9-8, and just because Deshaun Watson, how can you not like the guy? He's insane. He's always gonna put his team in the best position to win as well. And one thing I didn't mention is that him and rookies like Trayman Smith, I think Trayman Smith is gonna pop off and really take the load off the running backs like Rex Burkhead. I believe he's on that team. But yeah, Titans. I have them at 7-1. Yes, I actually did have them tying, believe it or not, and it is with actually the Jags. And I'm gonna put a thing for the Jags really quickly right there, just so that you know it's a tie. I'm not quite sure if it's wins, losses, ties. I think it's wins, losses, ties. Yeah, it is. It's not wins, ties, losses. But I have the Titans at 9-7-1. It's just because they really need some improvements to be playoff relevant. And they have some washed up players like Julio Jones and Derrick Henry. And they just need to get better at drafting, in all honesty. Their GM is just terrible. They are quite literally absurd, or a irrelevant team right now, and they have been for quite some time. I don't think they've been good recently. Maybe they made the playoffs in the last 5 years, but I'm not too sure on that. I'd have to do some research. And I think that a washed-up QB like Tannehill can't really carry the load as well. What else do I have? Yeah, I have them at 9-7-1, and I have them tying with the Jags because I believe that it's a pretty good matchup. T. Law is literally, he's going. I don't know, man. Actually, I don't know. I don't. I think they just don't match up well. Like, I don't think the Jags are that good because I have the Jags at 3-12-1. But you're going to the Titans. Just think about it. The Titans are going into the Jags' home stadium, which is a very good home field advantage for them because it's a very nice stadium located right on the water in Jacksonville, Florida. And you're seriously going to tell me that they're coming out with a win? I don't think they're coming out with a win. In my opinion, I think this is a trap game for the Titans. I think they're not even going to lose it, but I think they're going to tie. And I just think that T-Law is going to be a bust, and I don't know who their backup is, but he might actually get some reps over T-Law. And I think Urban Meyer's bad coaching will show. And one thing I'd like to add before I go is I think that the Tim Tebow signing, I think it was a really risky move on their part. And if they did, like, it could have panned out way worse for them, in all honesty. But I guess it was fine. Okay, last division in the AFC, we got the AFC West. And I have the Chiefs at number 1, and this one's a little obvious to see why, but it's just, I don't know, man. People keep saying this team's gonna win 15 games, 15 out of 17. I just don't see that. Pat Mahomes, he's going to regress, and even if he doesn't regress, he's definitely injury bound because, frankly, that O-line didn't get better, and their wide receiving core is they're just fast. They're not good. They're just fast. I don't really understand why people keep saying that Tyreek Hill is a top 5 receiver in the league. Because he's just not. He's just John Ross, but he can catch the ball. It's whatever. So I have them winning 14 games and losing 3. But I just don't see the hype. Now, the Raiders, this one is clearly, it's evident why they're so high. They are coming off a very strong season last year. John Gruden will have his players ready, and I honestly think they're gonna be buyers at the deadline, and they're gonna finish the season strong. They're gonna probably start off like around the deadline. They're gonna be mediocre. They're gonna buy. They're probably gonna trade for Justin Fields, and they're literally going to be very good, in my opinion. They play in a very, very advantageous stadium as well for their home field advantage. In addition to that, they have a really deep roster. And I don't have them winning the division because I think the Chiefs are just barely better. But I have them at 10-7. Next team I have is the Chargers, and this team is just a forgettable team. They don't really play in an advantageous stadium, I guess. But Jay Herbert, Justin, he's not good. I don't see it. And he's gonna struggle. But there's really not much else to say. There's nothing else on this team that's special. So I'm just going to give them 5 wins and 12 losses because they're just not special. There's nothing about them that I like. Can't even name a single player besides Justin Herbert. It's whatever, though. The Broncos, dang, they're a hard team to rank because I think their ceiling, they could probably go like 13-4. But their floor is very low too. Like their floor, they could straight up lose. Like they could lose like 13 games, which I don't know. Drew Lock, I think he might have a bounce back season, and actually he might get some MVP votes. But I don't know. There's nothing else special besides their top 3 defense in the league. It's possibly number 1, but I think they go 4-13 because this division it's a pretty tough one, to be honest. Teams above them are just way better, and I don't really see them doing anything in this division. I don't know. It's very similar to Chargers. They're just a boring team as well. So then we will go to the NFC North. And the Vikings are a very hard team to place, but they just have too many questions on the offensive side of the ball. But the good news is they do have a top 3 defense paired with the number 1 special teams unit, and I think this will propel them to the top. In fact, I actually believe they will finish above the Packers and Lions because their defense is just so good. Don't get me wrong, Dalvin Cook he's almost on the level of Barry Sanders, but I don't know. Running backs are kind of just not, they're kind of, what's the word? Their value is like diminishing, I guess. So it's more important to have a good defense than to have a good running back. So I have them at 12-5. Packers, this is the last ride for Rodgers in Green Bay, but fortunately for him, his offense is stacked. He's got Robert Tonyan. He's got Adam Lazard. and he's got some other weapons. I'm drawing a blank right now, but he'll have a chip on his shoulder. But unfortunately, he will not be able to crack that Titans defense. It's just a nightmare matchup in my opinion. However, they'll definitely make the playoffs. It's Aaron Rodgers. How do you not make the playoffs? So they'll go 12-5 as well. And I just think they're going to lose both games to the Vikings. Now the Lions, this might be a little bit of a stretch, but I think I have the Lions at 9-8. Now people are going to be spamming in the comment section, what the fuck? What the fuck? This list is terrible. This list is terrible. But it's really not, because their new coach, Detroit's been searching for a dude, and this man is literally the dude. They fired fucker with a girl name, and their additions of Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Harkton Latch, and Travion Hickson, I think that those players alone have the potential to be like spark a renaissance for Lions football, because those fans really haven't seen shit in the last year. Also, I'm very high on Jared Goff. I feel like his time with Los Angeles, I think he was mistreated, and in all honesty, I think that they won the trade, because I think Matthew Stafford, I think he is very overrated, and I don't think he'll do anything with his new team, in my opinion. So I have them going 9-8, and I think this qualifies them for a playoff spot, but I'll have to do the math in a little bit later. And here we come, the lowly Chicago Bears, but I don't think they're that bad, because I think that Andy Dalton might prove why he is the most prolific redhead QB of this decade, and possibly the decade before him. He just doesn't really have any weapons, and his division is just ridiculous. 3 teams above 500. One team has to at least be below, you know? And they just need to improve on both sides of the ball if they want to get better. They tried to draft Justin Fields, but unfortunately he's going to be traded to the Raiders. So, can't really do much about that. However, that pick that they're going to get for Justin Fields might help them in the future. I think they will be good in the future, but they're probably going to get a maybe top 3 pick. Okay. NFC East. This one is pretty obvious in my opinion. I think I mislabeled this though. Have the Redskins, the Giants, and the Cowboys. Actually, I might change. I don't know. Maybe I think the Cowboys they're probably better than the Giants. Yeah, that's probably right. So I have the Redskins. Chase Claypool, he is gonna carry their team on the defensive side of the ball. He's already proved that he was a stud last year. Unfortunately, that game where he broke Joe, he didn't break it, but his former Ohio State teammate, very emotional. So he just needs to. I think he doesn't need to do anything, because I think he's a stud, and I think he'll progress to be a menace on the defensive side of the ball. But despite him, they just need more weapons on defense. And their offense is already stacked with Ryan Fitzpatrick and a MVP vote, or an MVP candidate in Terry McLaurin, in my opinion. I think these guys are finally going to take the step up and win the division again for the second time in a row. And I have them going, I'd say 14-3. I think that's pretty fair. That's definitely a little That's pretty accurate, I'd say. They're gonna be a good team. Maybe 13-4. That might be a little high. Yeah, but the Cowboys, don't sleep on the Cowboys. Dak is back. They have an amazing wide receiver core, and they have a great running back too. Like Ezekiel Elliott, he's gonna have a bounce back season from last year. You can't not have a bounce back season with Dak coming back, you know? There's really not many flaws with this team. And honestly, the only reason they were bad last year is because Dak was injured. In all honesty, I think I might move the Cowboys up. I think the Cowboys are going to go 13-4, actually. One second. What do I think the Redskins will go? Don't know. The Redskins will probably be decent. They'll probably go 12-5, in all honesty. And that leaves the Giants and the Eagles. Two teams that I'm very bad at placing, in my opinion. But I think that the Eagles are definitely going to be better than the Giants. What am I talking about? I'm sorry. Sorry for my mistake, guys. I keep messing up. The Eagles are 100% better. And I can tell you why. Because they have two candidates, both named Jalen, that are going to get MVP votes, in my opinion. Jalen Reagor is going to step up and become a top 5 wide receiver in this league. It's a hot take, but it's going to happen. And Jalen Hurts, he's going to get MVP votes despite their mediocre record of 7-10. And that's just because they play in the hardest division in football. Or actually, that might not be true. They might not play in the hardest, but this year, it's one of the hardest, in my opinion. And the Giants, they have a good receiver core, but it's definitely the last chance for Daniel Jones. And I think they're going to tank for Thibodeaux, the Oregon defensive end from, the defensive end from Oregon, who's playing in college right now. And I think they'll get a top 15 pick, maybe, for their mediocrity. And I think they'll also go 7. No, they'll probably go 6-11, in all honesty. Yeah, 6-11 is fair. So we only have 2 divisions left, and they're pretty good, I'd say. We got the NFC South and the always beloved NFC East. Now, I'm just going to be flat out say it. I think the Saints are going to be the number 1 team in this division. I think they're going to lose 2 games. I think Taysom Hill is going to step up with the stacked Saints roster, led by, in my opinion, the best coach in the NFL, Sean Payton. What he's done with the program over the last 10 years is truly remarkable. And I don't see them losing 3 games, in my opinion. I don't see how anyone could. Alvin Kamara is very good, and there's not much else to say. This team's just stacked, and they got a top 2 defense in the league. Another team I'm very high on is the Panthers. I think they're going to go 13-4, and it's only because Sam Darnold's going to lead the league in receiving yards this year. And additionally, their top 3 defense is going to take care of opposing offenses. And sometimes it's as simple as that. That's all you need. Now the Bucks, the Super Bowl champions. I know that people are a little shocked that I didn't put them at the first. And I'll tell you why. It's because their roster, it's just so difficult to repeat. And that roster is just not good enough to repeat. They're going to shock people with their poor performance. And besides, since they won the Super Bowl, they'll have to face the hardest possible schedule that one could could put out for them. I think they're going to shock people, and they're really going to regress to a 10-7 record. Last year, I think they went 12-5, so this isn't unreasonable in my opinion. Now, I think the Falcons, this is another team I think they're going to surprise, but this is the good surprise. They are going to shock people with their very interesting roster. They got Matt Ryan, who, in all honesty, is a little washed, but he's still pretty good. However, they just drafted Kyle Pitts, and people are saying that they're going to be better with Kyle Pitts at the tight end spot. And I just don't think that's true, because I think they'll really struggle under a wing T offense led by Matt Ryan. But he'll bounce back strong after he figures out the offense in the later weeks. Calvin Ridley is also 100% overrated as fuck. I don't understand why people put him in the top 5. He played with Julio Jones. That's literally why. It's just Julio's dragging like fucking 2 defenders on him. He gets one. And he literally can easily shake one guy. So he's just overrated in my opinion. I don't even want to talk about that. So they're definitely going to surprise people. And let's move on to the next division. Lastly, we got the NFC West. And the Cardinals, I have the Cardinals winning, believe it or not. And I think it's because of their top 5 offense. I think it's going to carry them to the top of the division. And first of all, I have it there at 14-3. I think that D-Hop is going to be prone to injuries, but he won't be prone to injuries in the regular season. I think he's only going to get injured in the playoffs, and I think this team's a first-round exit in the playoffs, but they are locked to make it to the playoffs. That's why I have them at 14-3. And next, I have the Rams. I think their elite tandem of Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and Andrew Whitworth, I think it'll help them stay afloat in this very, very competitive division. I also am very high on Cam Akers. I think he's a very good running back. And I'm not very high on Matthew Stafford because, frankly, he hasn't done shit with the team before him. Like, I don't even know if he had a single playoff. I think he had 1 playoff appearance. He's never been to the promised land, and he's not very good in my opinion. Completion percentage doesn't matter when your team is garbage. So I have them going 12-5. And 49ers, I think Trey Lance will be a bust. I honestly do. And I think they're going to beat up on the Seahawks and benefit from essentially their weak schedule. And the only thing that they got going for them is that they got a top 2 defense in the league, I'd say. Joey Bosa is an elite defender. So I put them at probably 6-10 is pretty reasonable in my opinion. So last but not least, we got the Seahawks, and I'm just going to be straight honest. This team is going to be the worst team in the league, and it's not hard to see why. Russell Wilson is regressing, and I'm sorry, fans, but it's just true. The defense is lackluster, and people keep saying that their O-line is improved, and their offense in general has improved, but it's just not true. It literally is not true. Name one offensive lineman that they drafted. I can't name one. Additionally, DK Metcalf is just not good at all. I don't care what people say. He got locked up by Jalen Ramsey without Tyler Lockett because Tyler Lockett is getting injured, unfortunately. He is getting locked down. And Russell Wilson is going to have no time to throw, and even when he can throw, he won't make those accurate throws because he's regressing. And I'm sorry to say it. Seahawk fans, your coach, Pete Carroll, I honestly think he's going to get fired for this, for going 2-15 in one of the weaker divisions in football. But Oh, actually, that's not true. They're not a weak division. This is not that bad of a division. But Pete Carroll is definitely getting fired. Those are my playoff predictions, or those are my regular season predictions. If you wanna, I don't know. I'm not quite too sure on the Super Bowl, but I think if I were to pick two teams, I would have to give it to. Let me looky. I'd probably put. I'd say I think the Raiders have a genuine shot of actually. Maybe I'm a little too high on them. Probably pick a division winner. So I'd say the Cowboys might make the playoffs this year for the NFC, and I'd say they'd play probably. It's a tough spot. Deshaun Watson can do good, but I don't think he'll win. Yeah, I think the Dolphins have a good shot, but I don't know, man. It's difficult for me to predict. Honestly, the Cowboys versus the Dolphins is pretty safe bet in my opinion. Both have just so many playmakers on both sides of the ball. And like I said before, I can't even pick a flaw for the fucking Cowboys. I don't even know a single. They don't. Their roster's so good that they really don't have any flaws. Like I can't think of a single one. If you'd like to say if you think I did something wrong or if my list is inaccurate, please let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this video in its entirety, and I might do another one of these videos maybe later in the future. But thank you for watching, and have a good night.